Well, we're still adding $7 trillion to the debt.
Yeah.
$7 trillion.
$7 trillion to the debt, $40 trillion in spending.
My gosh.
And again, like, what is this? You're just basically adding up this whole, it's our own fault in some ways. And I mean, specifically even me. I mean, it's like I'm the guy that's supposed to catch these stupid statistics. Mm-hmm. The fact that we have allowed this language to actually stand where they're talking about cuts.
Yeah.
It's absolutely not true. There are no cuts. It's cuts in increases.
This is why I don't care what they say. The Republicans lose every argument. Every single debate, we pretty much lose because we allow them to control the language. It's the same thing that went on with the immigration debate. Instead of saying, look, we are pro-legal immigration. We were anti-immigration, and that's how we were labeled from the start, because we were anti-illegal immigration.
It's ridiculous.
From the beginning, we should have said, no, we are all about legal immigration.
Yeah, Marco Rubio's about the only guy who's nailed that one so far.
And he's really unfortunate. Now it's too late.
It is probably too late, although look for him to be your VP candidate.
Absolutely.
He's the guy I think they're going to wind up putting out there. Very well spoken. To some degree, he's not like the evil Tea Party extremist, and when that he does play the game. My guess is he will vote for this, and that doesn't. And that's not I'm certainly not saying this is good for him, but I think he's the type of guy. He falls into the Romney camp fairly well. If Romney gets this nomination, I could see a Romney Rubio being
although I think he's quite a bit more conservative than Mitt Romney. But
I agree. However, I do think that they would work well together. They're both very smart guys, and I think that would be the sort of ticket you could expect, and I think a sort of ticket that could win. That doesn't mean that that's the one we should run as a Republican, although I'm not one.
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
But it would not surprise me at all.
Speaking of Rubio, he was great on the Senate floor. Here's what he had to say later in the debate, or later in his comments, and it's like 14 minutes long, so we didn't have time for all of it. But John Kerry starts yapping at him, and he just shuts down John Kerry. But here's some of what Rubio had to say.
So that's why for years, where the debt limit was a routine vote, it no longer can be. It's not something that was made up in some conservative think tank, but the reality that we cannot continue to borrow 40 to 41% of every penny that the government spends has brought us to this point.
The reason he's talking about the debt ceiling debate not being routine anymore is because everybody's saying, well, it was like Kerry, it was routine before. Why isn't it routine now? It's always been routine. Everybody always votes for a debt ceiling increase. Why is this any different? Because this president is black. That's why you hate this president, because he's black. He's black, and that's why you hate him.
Strange accusation on Marco Rubio.
Because, he's black. He's not Hispanic like you are, Marco, so you hate everybody who's not Hispanic like you are. Because this president is black. He's black, and you hate him. And
this is a big point, by the way, of the left. They're constantly saying throughout this debate, look, President Reagan raised this 18 times. 18 times. You know what President Reagan did? Every freaking 2 months he was in there asking for another increase. They raised it by an average of about $100 billion every time he asked for it. $100 billion. Mm-hmm. We're talking about $2.4 trillion with another $2.4 trillion on top of that here.
Yeah, and the reason it's a big deal now is, as we all know, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, it has nothing to do with race. It is such an insipid, insane, stupid argument.
Right.
It's because things are so critical now. We are on a respirator, economically speaking. Mm-hmm. We're on a respirator.
Yeah.
That's why this debate is different than it has been in the past.
Keith passed this to me early this morning. The 12-year Republican Congress, which started in 95 and ended in 2007, raised the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. During the following 4 years...
That's what I'm talking about.
Right, there you go.
It's always been routine, Stu.
During the following 4 years that the Democrats had the Congress, the ceiling was raised by a total of $5.3 trillion. So more in 4 years than the Republicans did in 12.
Wait, what?
Now, the debt ceiling under President Reagan was raised 18 times for a total of $1.85 trillion.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Now, this is
18 times.
All 18 raises combined were added up combined to about half of what Obama has already raised the debt ceiling.
Wait, what? What are you saying? I'm not understanding what you're saying there. I'm not picking up what you're putting down. You're speaking in a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan over there. It's a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
I don't think that's
what it is.
Raising the debt ceiling 18 times during the Reagan years meant a ceiling battle every 5 months. Every 5 months he was doing this.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
With an average rise of only $102 billion per increase.
Wait, what?
Yes.
I don't know what you're saying.
So the thing is here, even the crazy proposal that they said was awful, and we can't be coming back around Christmas for this, that would have been the average length of time Reagan had to wait.
Stu, there's a chasm between us. There's a chasm of understanding that I can't seem to cross the chasm of understanding between us.
That's because you're not listening to
Because you're speaking in a fashion that's reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
Yeah, I've heard that.
How'd you know that I was going to say Genghis Khan?
That's because that's what you always say.
But back to Marco Rubio now, if we could.
So you would think that seeing that, our government and our leaders here in both parties would react to that immediately and work on it.
You would.
And I've heard a lot of talk today about delaying tactics and delaying votes. I would argue to you that this issue has been delayed at least for the last 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. In the 2 years before I even came here, neither this chamber neither proposed nor passed a budget. Wow. It's a startling figure. That for the last 2 years, this government has operated without a budget. Think about that. 2 years have gone by without a budget. The first 2 years that the president was the president, no budgets.
Wow.
Some people would say, well, that's because partisanship in Washington. Well, that's not true. In the 2 years before I got here, both the House and the Senate were controlled by members of the Democratic Party, which are the president's party. In fact, in this chamber, for at least one of those 2 years, 60 votes, 60 out of the 100 members here caucused with the Democrats. And as you recall, on Christmas Eve of the year 2009, they were able to pass a health care bill that was very controversial.
I do recall that.
Because they had the 60 votes in the president's party. Mm-hmm. But for 2 years, no budget. In fact, you know how long it's been since this chamber has proposed a budget? Forget past a budget.
How long?
Proposed a budget?
Tell me.
822 days. That's a long time. A lot of things have happened in the last 822 days, but proposing a budget is not one of them out of this chamber.
No, that's what I'm saying, Marco. It's because this is a black president. That's what I'm saying.
The Democrats
It's all because the president is black.
They're not proposing a budget because their president is...
No, the Republicans are holding all of this up.
No, they can't
Stu,
hold it
don't
up.
pretend like you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're saying.
There's a chasm between us.
No, I know. I really don't get it. I mean, how is... this is something that has turned into a talking point,
yes.
The 800 and whatever days.
Yeah.
But does that ever happened? Like, aren't you supposed to propose? But like, you don't necessarily have to have them. You're supposed to
do it every year.
Aren't you supposed to pass them every year?
Yeah.
Let alone proposing them.
Yes.
And the only budget I know they voted on wasn't that Obama's budget, which lost 97 to
nothing.
0.
Yeah. I mean, those are facts that I don't see how you even debate that. Rubio just slapped him down there.
Yeah, and I like Rubio. I'm a
great.
fan.
I like him a lot.
I like, who I like? There's 3 guys I like right now. Rubio, I do like. I like the Rand Paul. The Rand Paul's been doing a really good job. Mm-hmm. And I like the Mike Lee. Mike Lee, the Rand Paul, and the the fancy pants there, Marco Rubio. I like them all.
Me too.
They're
I would agree with all those. And I would add to that Jason Chaffetz. I love him.
Oh, yeah, Jason Chaffetz. I was talking senators, but yeah, Chaffetz as well has been very solid.
I didn't realize you were sticking with the, the House of Lords.
Right.
I mean, is that the only?
No, we were just talking about a senator, and then I brought up other senators.
Okay.
I know it's
there's scant few senators I like.
I like DeMint. DeMint has been pretty solid. There's certainly some out there, but I will. Lately the guys with the loudest.
How do you feel about John Kerry?
Kerry, I'm not as big.
That's because you speak and you think in a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan. And there's a chasm between the two of us, and we can't communicate very well.
Remember what was the other thing he said about genitalia?
Genitalia.
He was like,
sure.
They electrocuted genitals.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? Yes. They put batteries to genitals.
Yes.
They had personally raped.
Right, there you go.
Cut off ears.
Mm-hmm.
Cut off heads. taped wires from portable telephones to human genitals.
See, there you go.
Up the power.
And turned up the power.
In a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
They taped it to human genitals to turn up the power. That hurt like a pig, I'll tell you that right now.
Cut off limbs. Blown up bodies. Randomly shot at civilians. Raised villages
in a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan.
Love that.
Shot cattle and dogs for fun.
Amazing.
What?
This guy was almost the president.
Oh,
this guy who was accusing our military
of all of these
shooting
atrocities.
Dogs for fun. And again, not just one guy. He used the term systemic or systematic or one of those.
It was systemic. Yep.
And that is absolutely insane.
And an absolute, total, and complete lie. And some of these guys that he quotes here, hang on, it's
poisoned foon stocks.
Poisoned foon
stock.
What is a foon stock anyway?
Does anyone know?
They poisoned the foon stocks over there. Yeah, that's an atrocity that has never been committed in the history of our planet. But our soldiers poisoned foon stocks.
In a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan, for sure. Perhaps foon is what Genghis Khan eats. Is that possible?
It is.
Ravaged the countryside of South Vietnam.
Just generally ravaged the countryside in a fashion reminiscent of Genghis Khan. This guy.
Almost.
And it was a lie. And a lot of these guys who were claiming this stuff that he cited here in the Winter Soldier hearings of, 72 or 73, whatever it was, had never been to Nam. Had never been to Vietnam. And he's quoting them. This piece of crap was quoting them and accusing our soldiers of atrocities.
Yeah, and by the way, his one of his big backers for his defense against the Swift boat thing is now in jail or a fugitive.
Oh, really?
Which one is it?
I hadn't heard that.
Did you read about that in the paper, perhaps?
Did you see that? Did you read about that? John Kerry. Did you see this? Kevin, did you see this in the paper? You read about this?
I was trying. I haven't been able to type yet. I was hoping you'd fill a little bit with some Leno.
You can only do that so long.
Is this it? Here we go. Ben Smith catches a Navy Times report that Captain Wade Sanders, best known for vouching for John Kerry's dubious war record and introducing the candidate at the 2004 convention, has been stripped of his Silver Star by the Navy. Had the subsequently determined facts and evidence surrounding both the incident for which the award was made and the processing of the award itself been known to the Secretary of Navy in 1992, those facts would have been prevented from the award of Silver Star. Aside from improperly receiving a medal, Sanders is currently in jail for child pornography.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's not cool.
And by the way, the Swift boats, they're still calling it Swift boating.
Yeah, they are.
This guy who was defending them on the Swift boat things, defending Kerry, introduced him at the convention, has his medal stripped from him, and is in jail for child pornography. Jeez. Yet the right is the one who had no credibility on that incident. Think about that.
And, we forget sometimes that John Kerry won, how many Purple Hearts? Was it 46?
46,000.
46,000 Purple Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the scene from It's a Wonderful Life. Look, Daddy, every time a bell rings, John Kerry gets another Purple Heart. That's right, Suzu. That's right. Attaboy, John.
We do have some breaking news, by the way, from the world of the NFL. Yes, Derek Anderson has signed with the Carolina Panthers, but that's not it. Quote, after weighing his options and contemplating offers, he's decided to retire, said Randy Moss's agent. So
really?
Randy Moss retiring.
Wow.
Yeah. So more tomorrow.